Hey gang, about to go in this studio. I think I got it set up right. Let me. Might be a minute. Um, let's enter and we'll see what we can mess around with. Okay. Let's. Boop. Let me. Bloop bloop bloop. Bloop 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 bloop. Bloop bloop bloop. Something like that, gang. We'll be live whenever they pull me in, and I guess we'll discuss what we're going to discuss. Hope everyone's Saturday's going great. I hope yeah, just hope everyone's doing good. Hello, Decepticon, who is over on Twitch. Sorry, whenever they invite me to these StreamYard things, I gotta really change my layout a little bit, and so it's always a little scuffed. But can you guys hear me all right? Everything good on that end, I hope? Vite Mecca, nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. I'm doing well so far. It's been a pretty good weekend. I saw the latest episode of Knights of the A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Great series. If you haven't watched it, you should. I'm liking it so far. I hope they can stick the landing, right? We'll find out. You're painting your dark water. Interesting. Yeah, I won't spoil nothing. Decepticon. Oh, are we here?
Hopefully you're not naked, Wick.
I
I'm just
guess we'll
joking. I
find.
see you.
Oh, I might be
You're
naked.
not naked.
Hi, can
You're.
you hear me?
How's it going?
All so far so good. Give me a second to adjust my screen just a
Are
smidge.
you live right now?
Yes, we're live, so no
Oh,
slurs
okay.
or nothing like that. We're live on YouTube and Twitch, so
Okay.
um
Um. Well, then I guess I don't know if you want to go over do you want to set this up as like more a formal debate or
it's
just
up to
two
you.
dudes?
You're invited me and I'm here.
I I think more of a I think the conversation that we were having, kind of a free flow thought, and I think that was been more beneficial than
Okay,
making it so super structured.
sure.
Okay. Well then, if you are live, I will not waste anyone's time. Um, no intro. We do it live, baby.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now we are officially live. Um, so I guess how the hell should we I guess we'll just start it. We had a discussion earlier this last week, and I had called you out.
You would
I said
call
that
me
what you
out, yes. Just for my audience's benefit, can you tell people who you are?
Yeah. My name's Tyler. I'm a co-host with my wife. We do a cultural politics show. My name's Tyler. There we go. Yeah, so we comment cultural politics, focusing on Canada and the United States. So we talk everything from help video games to stupid shit our government does, all the way down to why Kim Kardashian's lips are bigger than they were last week, pretty much.
Okay.
So
Well, that's him, gang.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm Wick TV. This is something you should know if you're here. Well, I guess if you're watching from Tyler's side. So I do debates. I host them, and sometimes I participate. Also, have interviews, discussions of various kinds. We're branching out later this month into IRL streaming content. I'm gonna be going to CPAC, doing some street interviews and stuff like that. We'll see how that works out. But that's me.
Over with the
And I'm here
conservatives.
because Tyler said that I supported slavery, and I don't think I do. So we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have a discussion, okay?
Yeah. So I guess how should we kick this off? Your kind of position, if I
Well, I
understand
guess
correct.
to start, like you could tell me why do I support slavery? Because that's what you said I did. I supported
Right.
slavery.
Okay.
Explain,
Okay.
elaborate, make your argument.
Yeah. So I think with the support of illegal immigration, or how ICE is trying to get these criminals out, I think there's at least tacit, if not outright, support that um, criminal gangs bring uh, children, bring people into the United States for slavery, whether it's debt slavery or literal like drugs. So I think there's a lot of aspects that add to just that aspect of illegal immigration. So
So that's
I think that's really it.
go that's your argument. I don't want to interrupt or anything, right? I just want to make
No,
sure you
no,
get it all.
no. Go ahead.
Um, a few things. I think we're making some assumptions here, and I think they're pretty faulty. We talked a little bit, but your audio was bad last time we talked, so I'm not sure. We're just going to retread the ground, if
That's
you don't
fine.
mind, because again, um, just make sure I heard you correctly and things like that. I I guess curious why you think I support illegal immigration.
Well, I think if you were going to be calling out like the DHS and their mandate in order to remove criminals, illegal aliens from the United States, I think it's imperative that some things might look ugly. It might look ugly, but I think having people like Lake and Riley's face bashed in to the point of unrecognizable, I think is significantly more ugly.
So I don't call out DHS and ICE because they're deporting illegal immigrants. That is not my problem with DHS. That is
Okay.
not my problem with ICE in general. Um, the problem I'm having is the way that they're carrying these things out. I think that I was never an abolish ICE guy during Biden, not during Trump 1, not during Obama, not during Bush, right? I never really saw, like, I understood that no organization's perfect, but they generally had good policies and they were generally doing a good job, I think. For the most part, we can quibble over the details. But me criticizing DHS and ICE now isn't because they're going after illegal immigrants. That's not
Okay.
why. I'm criticizing DHS specifically because it continuously lies about what it's doing. It continuously violates court orders. It continuously sets policies and establishes precedent that ICE agents are harassing not just legal immigrants, right, but also American citizens. And this is kind of culminated, right, recently in the shootings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, though they've shot other people in the past year, right? Like in Chicago, and there's a couple other times, right? That just didn't get the media attention because they weren't on camera. Um, this is not something that means I don't want illegal immigrants gone from this country, right? We can argue about what laws we should set and how big of a priority that should be, right? But especially violent criminals like the one who killed Lake and Riley. Yeah, make them do their time, right? And then get them out. I don't want them released from prison early to deport them, to be clear. I'd like them to spend their full time in prison before we get rid of them. But I have no problem afterwards deporting them. I think that's good to do, actually.
Okay.
So I guess I just don't understand. Like, do you see my criticisms of ICE and DHS as supporting illegal immigration?
Well, I think specifically with the instances that we've seen coming out of Minneapolis, but yet you don't hear any real stories that are coming out of any other states unless it's just Minneapolis has just kind of filled the void or any potential void that all other stories get pushed out. Um, we can very much look at what was happening in California with a illegal grow op where they had children coming out, but the media pushed it as look at these evil jackboot thugs coming here, and women and children or families were working on a farm. So I think with the with DHS not having issues in other states and other communities of removing these people, I guess the bigger question is, why is Minneapolis so hell bent on interfering with the removal of people who do commit violent acts? So I would more look at, we can criticize, and I have no problem criticizing if DHS or in general, if immigration enforcement is doing things un I wouldn't even say unethically,
Illegally, to be clear.
illegal.
Illegally.
Yes,
They're doing things illegally.
you're right.
That is my
And I
claim.
think okay, so I think that there could be criticisms there. I have no problem with criticizing people doing illegal actions. I think okay, we're agreement in that.
Well,
So
I'll finish up and
no,
then I'll.
no, go ahead, go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So one, this isn't just happening in Minneapolis. For example, in Chicago, they've had a score of stories come out from there. When they were doing Metropolis Blitz, I believe was the code name for that surge, where they put all those people, all the ICE agents went to, and Border Patrol guys went to Chicago. They ended up shooting a woman there too. She didn't die, but they shot her 5 times, right? And they claimed and pressed charges against her because they claimed that she had rammed their car. And so the ICE officer got out, or the Border Patrol agent, I believe, got out and shot her 5 times. He then texted 5 bullets, 7 holes. Put that one in your book, boys. And later on, they had to drop the charges against her because the body cam footage came out of the incident. And it turns out that not only did she not ram the officer's vehicle, but they had rammed her vehicle. So this is just, again, one instance of many I could cite where DHS just lied about what happened. And they shot a woman, right? And tried to charge her for it and had to drop it because, again, they couldn't. They had no evidence of what they were saying, and the evidence contradicted her. And it's not just Chicago either. There's tales from Texas. There's tales from Florida. A lot of the problems that we're seeing come from the detention centers, which are in like Louisiana, Florida, California, Texas, and we're having huge scandals come out of that place. Texas, for example, there was a Border Patrol agent that was forcing a woman to have sex with him so that she could see her son, right?
Fuck.
And you laugh about that, but I don't think it's very funny,
No,
right?
I laughed at the absurdity of it, not at the scenario. I went, "What the fuck?"
Yes. What the fuck? No, I get that. It's crazy out there what they're doing. And so I think that I just take issue with your framing here that it's just Minneapolis. We're seeing a lot from Minneapolis now because, well, after the Renee Good shooting, everyone with a camera kind of descended on there. So now
Mhm.
everyone's recording. And also because Trump surged in like 3,000 federal
Yeah,
agents into that place. So there's obviously going to be more friction there than there would be in another instance or another state.
right. So so I like I said, I can understand that things are going to go wrong, especially when I think you have that many people who are trying to do a job that is virtually impossible. There's no way I think that you could reasonably and without some type of public basically almost I would almost argue suspending the constitution in order to get those 10 million people that are not supposed to be there out. I think that's really the only way that you could effectively and basically go door to door, knocking on people's doors. But I don't know if that's always what's happening. I would assume that these people, that the DHS is more familiar with who they are targeting rather than, as we've seen the stories coming out of Minneapolis that have dominated everything, is people are engaging them. I bet I could almost guarantee you none of those people are going to be talking about what happened in Chicago or an instance that happened in Texas. They're gonna not going to talk about that.
I
So
think
I
that
think
the
that's a separation.
Okay. I think that the people who are busy protesting absolutely are more likely to know about the other incidences of ICE agents in other states and other places than the average person who stays at home. So we can talk about whether or not the protesters are doing anything wrong. And I think that in certain instances, they absolutely are. In certain instances, they absolutely should be arrested for what they're doing. But in a majority of incidences, I don't think that they've done anything that breaks the law. And in fact, I would suggest to you that DHS and ICE are purposefully breaking the law by violating their First Amendment rights, and also by lying to the courts, which we have several federal judges have claimed that, look, um, we can't trust anything that the DHS is telling us, even though they have a duty to, what's the word for it? Not credibility, candor. Sorry, they have a duty to candor to the court, right? That they need to kind of be honest with the court
Mm-hmm.
in their dealings, the prosecutions, but they're losing case after case after case because they just don't bring evidence. They're taking people, they are arresting them, they are charging them, and then when it comes time to prove the charges, they just don't even bother giving evidence. So, in this is why I'm having a problem with ICE now, and why I've changed my position to be abolish ICE is because they have so damaged their credibility with the American people that no one trusts them anymore, and I don't think we can repair it just from some policy changes. I think that the DHS currently has a habit of lying, and we can go through the instances if you want, but that is my criticism. And if you want illegals deported, I would argue that you should also be very critical of how DHS is doing it, because I don't know if you've seen the polls, man, but at this rate, people are going to want to import more illegal immigrants just to fuck with ICE, because no one likes what they're doing. No one likes their tactics, and it's going to backfire. So if you want this done right, if you want people, violent criminals, out of this country, right, you should be asking DHS, demanding that DHS stops lying, stops breaking people's First Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights, Eighth Amendment rights, and just stop this bullshit.
So, do illegal aliens do they have protection under the Constitution?
Yes.
Okay,
Have First Amendment protected rights, they have Fourth Amendment protected rights, and they have Eighth Amendment protected rights, at the very least.
okay.
And Fifth as well.
Okay, so under the Enemies Alien Act, I know that there's been some mix-ups with, or I shouldn't say mix-ups, that's a bad word. Uh, there's been a bit of, yes, that he can, like Trump can use it. No, Trump can't use it. Some judges have weighed in that position, but also looking that came out of the Circuit, allowed Trump to deport illegal aliens without due process, which I think expressly falls under the executive. That is like, if Trump's in charge of anything, it's the borders. And so I think actually he has a duty, especially when you see that citizens are getting hurt. I think he has a duty and an obligation to ensure that any and all illegal aliens are removed. Remember, Barack Obama called those 20-year-old men, they called them, what, how did they phrase it? Combat age men or
Oh,
something to the
military
younger,
aged men or something
that,
like
yeah,
that? Something like
yes.
that. I know what
And
you're talking
now
about now.
And now what do you see coming out of the right? These are all military aged men that are invaded the United States from the southern border.
So, a couple things. The Fifth Court decision that you're referencing was I think it was not just, it was like yesterday or maybe the day before. It's very recent, and
Yeah, on
it's
the
an
6th.
outlier decision. It goes against the decisions since 1996, which I believe is maybe 94, one of the two. That's when the law that they're using to detain people before their deportation without due process. That's the law that they're citing. Um, it's never been used this way before by any other administration. Uh, I believe that this is going to get overturned when it goes up the chain to the Supreme Court. But we'll
The
see.
Supreme Court.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is why due process, even for illegal immigrants, matters. The process that I'm talking about isn't necessarily a full court hearing with 12 members of a jury that they go through and it takes months. That's not what I'm referring to, right? I think that the bare minimum that they should have, and I believe that they do, protected under the Constitution, is the right to petition the government that they've made a mistake. So if someone comes up to you, or an ICE agent comes up to you and says, I don't believe you're an American citizen. I think you're an illegal immigrant. So I'm going to take you. I'm going to put you in a detainment facility for months, and then we're going to drop you off at where I believe that your home of origin is. You should have the right to petition the government to say, hey, actually, I'm not an illegal immigrant. I'm either a U.S. citizen, I'm a lawful resident, I went through the right way.
Have
Without the
any?
ability, if just I'll be
Yeah, yeah.
concise
Go
as I
ahead.
can. Without the ability to do that, what you're doing is giving the government unlimited power just to say you're guilty and we're going to remove you. And I don't think that that's wise.
Have any U.S. citizens, naturalized or otherwise, has anyone, one person, have they been removed from the United States?
Yes.
Under what conditions? Do you
I'd
know
have to look at the
specifically?
specific conditions. I'd
I'm
have to look at
asking.
it. It's not just
Okay,
happened here. Like, it's not just happened under Trump, to be clear, right? It's
right.
happened before under other administrations where they've oopsie whoopsied and deported an actual U.S. citizen. One of the problems that we have when they do that, especially now, is that there's no real redress. Again, if this Fifth
If
Circuit
the
Court
circuit.
opinion holds, there's not going to be any real redress to that. Before they did, they could sue the government. They could say, you fucked up, right?
Mhm.
And I don't think that they'll be able to do that now if this decision holds, because they wouldn't have been breaking the law. And again, it's not just about the deportation. It's about the detainment. Again, these people sit in detainment for months on occasion. And like, that to me is extremely fucked up, if you excuse my French. Oh, sorry. Can I curse on your platform? I'm not sure.
Oh my God! You said the most offensive thing you
I
could
don't
have.
know. I don't know. It's your house. All right. I want to
I don't.
be respectful.
It's fine. It's not
Okay.
a big. It's not a big deal.
But yeah, a few people, like earlier in 2025, they detained a lady who was on a student visa, so not an illegal immigrant, right?
Mhm.
She is here legally on a student visa. They detained her for a few months, maybe 2 months, because she wrote an op-ed that was critical of Israel. So they
Mhm.
put her in a detainment facility. There's a huge court battle. She got released eventually, thank goodness. But that's what they're doing, is they're going around. They're A lot of these people aren't illegals, even though DHS is lying and saying they are, which is, again, if you're trusting DHS at this point, you're a fool. They've lied so often and so readily. Did you hear about there was a shooting also in Minneapolis where one of the ICE officers shot an illegal immigrant, or he claims was an illegal immigrant, who he claims was beating him with a shovel? Do you remember that?
Vaguely,
Yeah.
like really
It
vaguely.
wasn't on video or anything. No one caught it on video. So DHS's story kind of went, and people just accepted it. But it turns out they've released affidavits from the FBI. Turns out the guy didn't get shot while he was beating him with the shovel. The guy was running away, and he was like 10 feet away. And then the ICE agent shot him in the leg.
Is
So
that the one where the officer was jumped by multiple
that's
people?
what they claim happened. But when
But
we're looking at the
wasn't
FBI
that in the body?
affidavit,
But
it's
wasn't that the body
different.
cam footage that got released that he was chasing someone and then he ended up getting isolated and like 4 or 5 other people came out and started beating him up?
There was no body cam footage for this.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I could have sworn I seen that. But
Oh,
whatever.
if
Like,
you find it, and if you have the body cam footage that I'm unaware of, I'd be happy to look at it with you. But one of the problems they're having in ICE or in Minneapolis is they don't have body cams. That's why the guy who shot Renee Good wasn't using a body cam. He was using his cell phone, right?
right,
Because they don't have
and I
body
agree with
cams.
that.
So it'd be weird if this one did and none of the rest did. But it's possible, I guess.
Well, and I find the Renee Good one interesting on itself.
Go
Like,
ahead.
But well, it's the narrative that's spun up. Well, it's either getting run over by a car. Is that actually a deadly weapon? Should you not actually be stopped? Should you expect that if you're going to try and kill someone, that someone won't try and use force in order to stop you? What I do find funny,
Well, hold on. Do you think that Renee Good was trying to kill that guy?
no,
Okay.
no, I don't think she was.
Now, DHS said she was. Kristi Noem
Right.
said she was.
Yep.
They
No,
were
and I
lying
can
again, right?
well, and
Regardless of
even
whether
to
you think the shoot was a good shoot or a justified shoot or whatever, we can acknowledge that the DHS totally lied about that.
well, I wouldn't say that they necessarily lied, because I think lying implies consent or intent. So how I would look at this a lot more is that DHS, as I think you have to give as much to your opponent as much as possible, like goodwill as much as possible. So what I would
Hold on,
assume
why?
was, because people make mistakes.
Sure, and I think that if this was an isolated incident, that I would agree with you. Like, oh, they messed up. Fair enough. But this is a pattern of behavior that we not only saw in the Renee Good shooting, but in the Alex Preddy shooting, where they lied again, saying that he was intending to massacre cops. And Kristi Noem said that he was brandishing a gun. Bovino repeated that lie. Stephen Miller called him a domestic terrorist before we had any information whatsoever. Like, this
Mhm.
is a pattern of behavior that, again, I can understand giving grace if it happened once or twice and it was outliers. But I honestly, at this point, I can't think of an honest thing that DHS has reported on in the last year.
Well, I think trusting that government in general, it's funny enough. I was talking about this earlier today. Like, the expression now is, how do you convince a conspiracy theorist that aliens don't exist? Let the government tell them they do. So I think to kind of put in that perspective, that do you really think the government, whether it's right or left, that they're going to tell you the whole truth and we've been honest this whole time? Dude, I got a bridge to nowhere to sell you. Like, of
I
course they're
hold on.
going
I
to
reject that.
manipulate stuff.
I reject that. I think that it is silly to always trust the government, but it's just as silly to never trust the government. However, I think that DHS specifically under Trump has changed my mind on that kind of truism. I think that you were foolish to. Let me put it this way: the government has always, sometimes lied to the American people. I will just grant you that. That has happened to certain degrees amongst every administration. But
Mhm.
I think it's fundamentally a mistake and wrong to suggest that what DHS is doing now is even comparable to what the Biden administration did, to what Obama administration, hell, even Trump 1 administration did. They are telling lies as a matter of policy to a degree, to such a provable degree, that I haven't seen in my 42 years of life on this earth, right? I've never seen as many lies coming out of the government to our faces, even when we have video evidence directly contradicting what they're saying. And I just reject saying that, well, the government always lies, so we can just excuse these. No, I reject that.
No,
I think
it's
that's
not.
wrong.
It's not excusing. It's the expectation that I think it's important and incumbent upon the citizenry in order to understand that those issues are taking place. We have a massive problem with government corruption, and our media is completely bought by the government. Like, literally, not like PBS gets kicked a couple
Oh,
million
I don't
dollars.
know
Like,
about Canadian stuff, so I couldn't tell you that there. But
right.
I just want you to, can we at least admit, and at least with American administrations, that this current administration is lying to degrees that blow other administrations out of the water, that they are fundamentally dishonest in a way that other administrations have not been. Can we just at
See,
least acknowledge
but
that?
I don't know if I could,
Why
because
not?
they're every well, I think because every government has its the things that it wants to push. It's going to, and I'll say with regards to this, we've only seen the rhetoric escalating in terms of from violence. So now I think we're kind of at the point where there's no longer an off ramp. It's more or less, we're now picking, we're playing like Red Rover. We're picking teams right now. That's what it seems like as an
I
outside
think that we
observer.
could argue that I would agree with you that we're getting polarized in a way that we haven't seen since the '60s.
Hmm.
Um, I would probably agree with you on that. However, I I want to return to this. Like I think you can say that this administration has, again, as a matter of policy and just experience, told more lies than others. I think this is a measurable thing. And DHS is the administration specifically I'm going to point to, since we're talking about immigration,
Hmm.
that I couldn't tell you anything that DHS lied about during Trump 1, during Obama, during Bush, during Biden 1. I'm sure there might be one or two things that they were lying about. Fair enough. But I could tell you 5 or 10 things off the top of my head that
Right.
DHS has lied about in the last month under the
Well,
Trump administration. These are not the same.
what,
It's like let me give you a good comparison here.
but wouldn't
Pretend
it
this.
be
Just
fair?
let me finish real quick. Pretend this is a glass of water, right? It's not Coke or whatever. Little won't kill you. It's water, right? You could drink it. It's fine. But if you had a flood of water, like a whole river coming down on my ass, I would drown. And yes, both are water, but the scale matters. And that's what I'm comparing these things to. I'm comparing like the Biden administration or even Trump 1 administration. It's water, right?
Well,
It's a
see,
glass of water.
and I think that's where, because most people had no idea that this level of immigration enforcement takes place. Hell, even under Barack Obama, if it's to believe that 3 million deportations took place under Barack Obama, Trump hasn't even licked his taint in regards to even meeting that, not even remotely close.
Yeah, but
But
again, the
we
number
have
of
such a vocal
deportations isn't my
outrage.
problem. That's not my problem with That's not my problem with DHS. It's not that
No,
they're
no, no.
deporting
I,
people.
I think, but what I'm saying is, you never really heard instances of people up in arms fighting the government in that aspect.
Hold on, under
That's what I'm
Obama,
saying.
they called him the deporter of chief. There was protests all
No,
the
no,
time.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that with regards to Trump, because Trump is evil orange man. Everyone hates Donald Trump. That you know, on that political side, or at least political ideology. I think they've always hated Trump. They've always kind of put those roadblocks intentionally in place to make him look bad. And I think, this is one thing I said with regards to DHS. Any instance, like, you guys have to be like 1,000% on your best behavior, because one instance will be fodder for everyone that wants to discredit anything and everything this administration is trying to achieve.
But it's
So,
not just one incident. It's multiple incidents across multiple states and multiple agents, right, doing these things. And the idea that like the left or anti-Trump people are causing Trump or are like holding Trump to a higher standard, I just reject that as well. Trump is one of the people who gets away with more than any other president I've ever seen. Like, look at the Hunter Biden accusations, Burisma, how he got people were up in arms because Hunter Biden was getting kickbacks, right?
mhm,
Getting money from his being on the Burisma board, right? And people were all up in arms about that because that was fraudulent, that was corrupt. How dare you make money off of your father being a politician? But then we look at
which
Trump,
he did, yes.
who's basically got 500 million, $500 million, 4 days before he was elected, he was inaugurated to the presidency, right? They spent the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, put
Mhm.
in $500 million to Trump's business. His not the government, but Trump himself made $500 million. And in return, when he became president 4 days later, one of the first things he did was give them access to very secure, highly guarded AI chips, like smart chips we were using, right?
Mhm.
This is graft on a level that dwarfs anything Hunter Biden ever did. And that's just one thing that
Well, I
Trump
would
has
push
done.
back.
Not
I
to
would
mention
even
his
push back on
crypto
that.
rug pull of his followers. Not
Are
to
you
mention,
talking about his sweet trading cards, you son of a bitch? His sweet trade. How dare you? I don't have
look,
any.
his like
Oh,
the Trump phone, him giving special access to the top 20 Trump coin donors, uh getting a $600 million jet from Qatar, right? These are all
wasn't
like
that was refused
scandals.
though, wasn't it?
Say one more time.
Wasn't that jet refused?
No, he did not
It
refuse
wasn't?
that jet. He took
Okay.
that jet.
Okay, maybe I'm misremembering that. But okay, so I
So,
think
but do
even
you
if that's
understand
the
what I'm trying
case,
to say
but
about the like how Trump just does things that are fundamentally bigger in scale and worse than what his opponents
no,
have done?
I I think we're now kind of getting into like the degrees of scale. Like if someone's doing something illegal and corrupt, it's like, well, it's either all of it or we allow none of it.
Hold on,
So
no,
if
scale
Hunter,
matters. Come on, we we
I'm
we
okay.
we have
Like
different
if Hunter
punishments.
Biden took like a loaf of bread and is like, yo, my dad is good for it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I think 99.99% of people wouldn't really care. What he did was still illegal. Yes, but I think most people will go like, come on, this was a slice of bread. But I think if you're taking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars to be on a board and everything that happened with surrounding Burisma and the 10% for the big guy and all that stuff, or Hunter Biden going on
Yeah, but then
Air
why don't
Force
you
Two
care
to
when
get
Trump
business
does it
deals.
worse? That's my problem. I,
I'm
I don't mind if you are holding both to the same standard, bully on ya. I get it, right? Like corruption is bad. Fair enough. And if you
mhm.
think that the what Hunter Biden did was corrupt and you decide not to support Biden because of that, okay, that's fair, right? But then if you go around and just allow Trump to again scam people for billions of dollars, and to be clear, he's suing the IRS for 10 billion with a B dollars, right? Because of his taxes getting released or something. Um,
Yeah,
the corruption
that
inherent
sounds
in the
reasonable, doesn't it?
president of the United States who's in charge of the IRS, who can force the IRS to give him the money, suing them, right, for that money is
But
wild to
that's
me.
him as a private citizen. So,
Yeah, but he's
I
also their boss.
but well,
Hold on,
but
if
if
your
they
boss
release it,
sues you and then says either comply or we'll fire you, do you think that there's nothing corrupt going on here?
but is that before he became your boss or after?
He's currently the boss.
I know, but when he made this
Doesn't
allegation or when he
matter. He's
just well,
suing
I
it
think no, I think
during
it
like
does.
he
I think it
brought up the
does matter.
lawsuit while he was president now, just a couple months ago.
But is it against Trump or is it like Trump Industries? Or is it like his own personal taxes
His
they
own
decided to
personal
release?
tax releases that he didn't want released, someone leaked it, and he's suing the IRS for that to the tune of $10 billion.
Okay. But if a more or less private citizen says, "Hey, don't release my taxes," and they go, we're gonna do that anyways, fuck you." Uh yeah, I would definitely see that there's definitely some type that no, you can't do that. Like this whole idea of presidents releasing their tax forms or potential presidents, that was just like a measure of good gesture.
But do you not see the inherent conflict of interest here? When this person is the president of the United States who's in charge of the IRS, who can fire the director of the IRS if they say no, right? Bringing suit while he has that power, I think is inherently corrupt. It's basically
Or
stealing $10 billion. If he wants to do this, he should do it while he's no longer president.
well, would it make more sense that in fact I am now in a position because before I would just get stonewalled even as a private citizen, no matter how much money I have, I would still be
Well,
stonewalled.
people sue the
So
federal government all the time and win.
well, yeah, but if you're gonna slap a big B on that sucker, yeah, they might go, you know what? We'll give you a couple 100,000 and go away, peasant. We don't need you anymore. Or would it be more beneficial that let's say something terrible let's say with Twitch. They they release super private information. They got those sweet Whick nudes. They got your nudes and they leaked them. And you went, you know what? My type of vendetta is I'm gonna actually take out that, what's that dude that owns Twitch? That little creep.
I don't know
Yeah,
his name, man. I have no idea.
but now he's, you know what? I'm gonna do everything I'm gonna start buying Twitch stock. I'm gonna play the long game. And then when I get there,
You know
I'm
what?
gonna have
You
your
know what
ass.
also is illegal? Insider trading, right? Kind of what you just described.
Agreed.
That's
Well,
illegal.
is that insider if I'm gonna do everything in my power to hold the person that wronged me accountable? Not like Nancy Pelosi or
Hold on.
Inverse Kramer, but
Using your power of elected office to go after your personal enemies is one, very different than a private company doing private company things, and two, I would suggest to you inherently a corrupt act. If because you like say I become president, right? And because you said that I was in favor of slavery and I think you lied on my name, I decided to direct the DOJ to prosecute you for something, right?
you're gonna
Mortgage
get my
fraud or some
nudes.
shit, and to have the Canadian government extradite you to the United States so that we could prosecute you. You don't think that that would be an inherently corrupt thing to do from me?
I could see it as potentially being a maybe what's the right word for it? Like a reprisal, what's it called? Like a retribution
Yeah,
or
retributive. Yes,
yeah.
retributive. I don't know how to pronounce
I know,
words,
yeah,
man.
I
You know,
think we
I
know
know
what we're
what you're
talking
saying,
about.
but
Like you're doing
that's
it
an
with a
inherently
malicious
corrupt
intent.
thing. We don't want that.
The hell is it called? Now it's gonna bug the shit out of me. Retaliatory. There we go.
Retaliatory. Okay.
Yeah, there we go. So, could it be something like that? Okay, fine, but then we need to expand everything to everything else. So, when Trump's lawyers were getting locked up, well, that's absolutely unheard of. Or,
No, it's
all the stuff
not. We've
Trump's
arrested lawyers
lawyers
who broke the law before.
as representatives of someone,
And
as
to
speaking
be
on their
clear,
behalf.
a lot of these lawyers were convicted. They were found guilty because they broke the law.
Yeah, like the turncoat, whatever the hell her name was. Can't remember. Not the release the Kraken horse shit. Not that one. But but so I would you have a problem if we're now prosecuting lawyers for trying to vehemently defend someone else's rights?
Okay. One, they are doing it. Trump is doing it. Trump has taken away the security clearances of what was that firm? There's a law firm that represented Clinton, that represented the Dominion voting things, and they went against Trump's interests. So he signed an executive order revoking the whole, not just the individual lawyers, but that whole firm's
But
security
why
clearances
but
in a
why would they have that?
retaliatory measure, right? In order to get back at them for representing his enemies. That's absolutely happening right now.
But why
Trump
would
is
they have
doing
that
it
type of clearance
today,
anyways?
right?
Why would they have that type of clearance to begin with anyways?
A top secret security clearance of some kind because
For a law firm?
they represent different clients that have to do with different levels of top secret information and things like that. Government officials, things like that, and they also banned them from government buildings so that the lawyers couldn't
Christ.
go represent their clients in court because they were not allowed to enter these federal buildings. Again, this is Trump using a corrupt retaliatory strike, which you agree is corrupt, right? And you're just letting it happen?
Potentially, but is it kinda like, is it because, we can go back, with all this information that's coming out with Barack Obama was actually, man, in control of a lot of this type of stuff that was taking place.
Hold on.
So,
Do you think I'm going to say
like
that that was good?
no, but what I'm saying is so then we need to hold it flat across the board if we're
Tell you
gonna
what,
say
I'll
that was
never vote
Trump.
for Barack Obama again.
Well, you can't. Or you also can't vote for his sock puppet.
His
You
sock
can't do that
puppet?
either. Biden was his sock puppet. Come
Biden
on.
was Obama's sock puppet? I don't know, man. But two, well, one, I don't know about that. But two, right? This idea
His
that
hand was so far up his ass, he could
Biden,
feel his
hold on,
dentures.
hold on. Let me just ask, just because I'm curious, right?
Mhm.
Do you think that Obama going through to the DOJ to get wiretaps on people to see if they've been breaking the law is the same thing as Trump because a law firm represented Hillary Clinton and the Dominion voting people, revoking their security clearances and banning them from entering federal buildings. Do you think that these are the same thing?
Not even remotely close.
Exactly. And so we can
Yeah, because
criticize Obama for perhaps overreach in certain areas. I think that's fair to do. I think that's fine to do, in fact. You probably should. But the problem I'm having is when you're using that, and I think this is what you are doing, you're using that to excuse bad behavior from Trump. And to be clear, it's fundamentally worse behavior.
is it worse to
Yeah.
investigate to have fake warrants issued and mislabeled warrants in order to try and spy on a political opponent?
Is it worse than what?
Like, is it worse than the removal of the lawyers that are
No.
defending the Dominion Society? You think that's not worse?
One is an investigation that might lead to criminal prosecution. One is simply revoking someone's rights just by fiat without any
But
investigation, without any trial, without any chance to kind of counteract it. Even though I'm not sure if they won their court case, but they are in court case about it now. So hopefully that goes somewhere. I'm not sure if the court case has been concluded or not. But this is
oh,
again
do you know the name of that law firm? I'll see if I can.
petty.
Oh,
Hold
of
on,
course it's
I have it
petty because they're fucking.
I have it somewhere. Give me a second.
No, Dominion
Perkins
was it what?
Coy, and that's
Perkins?
not the only one he did. He did Covington and Burling. On February 25th, 2025, he signed an executive order targeting them, the largest law firm in D.C., for providing pro bono legal services to former special counsel Jack Smith, who had investigated Trump's role in the January 6 events and classified documents. The order stripped security clearances from specific lawyers at the firm, notably Peter Koski, and initiated a review to terminate federal contracts with the firm. Wilmer Hale, on March 27th, 2025, Trump issued another executive order against Wilmer Hale, a firm where former special counsel Robert Mueller had worked. Before and after leading the Trump-Russia investigation, they suspended the firm's security clearances, restricted its employees' access to federal buildings, and directed agencies to terminate contracts with the firm. March 25th,
So
2025, Jenner and Block. Trump targeted Jenner and Block with an executive order that suspended security clearance from its employees, banned them from federal buildings, and restricted the firm's access to federal contracts. And again, the order specifically highlighted the firm's past employment of Andrew Wiseman, a deputy on Mueller's team, and also Paul Weiss on March 14th, 2025. This is a pattern behavior that we're seeing from Trump that dwarfs anything Obama did.
dwarfs.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
In
Okay. So
scale and in severity. Yes.
I think I could even grant that. Okay, Trump targeted these people because he felt that they were no longer. You can make up a million different reasons. I don't like the
Well,
color
he
of your
didn't.
hair.
You don't need to make it up. You could
Like,
just the executive orders say the reason, right?
well,
It's because
exactly.
they
Like,
worked with Robert Mueller, they worked with Hillary Clinton, they worked with Dominion voting machines. Like he doesn't hide it. He's like, I'm doing this because you represented my enemies, and I'm going to punish you.
okay, so removing their clearance is different than. I know we're totally off
We
initial
are
topic.
off topic,
That's
but that's
fine.
okay. But no, it goes in to where again. This is the to tie it back into kind of the overall theme I'm presenting to you, and I'm arguing to you, is that DHS, Trump, and his whole system is fundamentally corrupt, corrosive, and doing what I consider, especially in the DHS's cases, unconstitutional and illegal acts, right, to get their way. And I think that that's not me defending illegal immigrants. That's me going against an organization that I feel is currently breaking the law.
So you feel that they're breaking the law.
Yes.
So okay, so with regards, especially say to like DHS.
Yes,
So
DHS specifically is breaking the law, and I'll give you one way that they are. They had a secret memo, whistleblower came out with this, right? A secret memo saying that they didn't need, telling their employees, the ICE agents, that they didn't need a judicial warrant to go into people's houses. This is unconstitutional on its face. They knew it was unconstitutional. That's why they kept it secret, right? And it violates people's Fourth Amendment rights. They're not allowed to go into a private domicile unless you have a warrant signed by a judge. What they were doing was they were doing what's called an administrative warrant, where their
right.
buddy, who isn't a judge, a fellow ICE agent, would sign a warrant giving them permission to go in. This is fundamentally unconstitutional and illegal. They're doing
So
it
again,
today.
okay. So I'll ask this: is your position more of a, if we're going, as much as you want these people out, we have a process, and that process has to be adhered to. We do not waver on that process.
Yes.
Just, that, and letting the ends justify the means.
Yes.
Okay. I have no problem that we want to, we don't want to become our enemies because they're willing to break the law. Then fine, then we can too. Then laws mean nothing. The whole system, and in terms of trust. And I'm a firm believer that the only reason our institutions have power is because we have faith in them. Once we lose faith in those institutions no longer function. Like, they literally do not exist. They only exist by fiat. So I could agree with that the ends not justifying the means. Fine. I have an issue. So I wanted to look at, so you talked about that woman journalist.
Which
In
one?
terms the one that you said that was arrested. She was at a university. She wrote a paper
Oh,
in support of
I don't know if
Israel,
she was a journalist. She was a student.
or a student, whatever. But she wrote like a
She
paper or some
wrote, yeah,
crap,
she
right?
wrote an essay, an anti-Israel essay. Yes.
Right, right. So under under the United States, the whole visa program, your visa can be refunded or revoked at any time without question. Like,
Hold on. No, not without question,
well,
right?
I should say without, but they can issue whatever reason they want. I don't like the color of your hair, so or whatever the reason is. They don't necessarily
Well,
need to give a
again,
justified reason.
no, there are certain things that they simply cannot revoke it for. They have a wide discretion to evoke it. They could have said, "We don't like you as a person," and that would have been legal. But the reason she won her court case is because that's not the reason they said. The reason that they brought to court to try to deport her was because she had spoken out against this administration's wishes and made this anti-Israel essay that they said was dangerous, which it wasn't.
So, do you
And
want people?
she won her case because it violated her First Amendment rights. Because the government can't punish you for your speech, and that's exactly what it was doing.
Yeah, but we punish people for speech all the time.
In Canada,
Like,
maybe, but not here.
no, but even there. Oh, you want to talk about where you guys are heading if this shit keeps up? We can talk about the Canadian Tribunal of Human Rights, where if you get your feeling hurt, I get to sue you.
Okay, I'm not Canadian. I
So,
don't like Canadians because you don't have a First Amendment. Well, I like you as
ex-
people. I don't mean to interfere. Like,
uh,
fair
no,
enough.
no,
But I wouldn't want to move to Canada because they have some crazy, what I would consider illiberal laws.
oh,
Okay,
I
that I would just
100%
grant to
agree.
you. But I'm talking about here in the United States where we do have protected speech, and free speech is absolutely protected by the First Amendment, and that includes guests, right? That includes our guests, which are immigrants of various kinds.
I want to double check because I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm going off the dome piece here, but I'm
Take your
pretty
time.
sure that it can be revoked at any time.
Again, at any time, but not for any reason, because there are certain reasons that they simply cannot do. And the First Amendment protected speech is one of those reasons that they cannot do. That's why, again, she won her court case.
Let's see. Let's see. Can a visitor's visa be revoked? What if we put revoked for speech? Right, real narrow that sucker down.
Are you asking
No,
AI?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up just to get us. I don't know. I could go to
Okay. I mean,
visarefusal.com, Presidential Alliance. I could go to them, but yeah, so this is AI, so take it as you will. Like
okay.
I said, I'm just kind of going off the dome piece. So, yes, a visitor visa can be revoked for speech, particularly if the US government deems the speech to be anti American, anti Semitic, pro Palestine, or otherwise hostile to the US institutions or foreign policy interests.
Okay, that's
So,
wrong. That's not true.
okay. Do you have something like I have no problem even looking up after that's more that gives uh, a better explanation than this?
Can you DM me or something what you're looking at? You can't vote like, for example, if Biden was president, he could not revoke your visa if you said I love Trump, even though that would be something that would be against his administration's interest. And he might argue that, well, I don't think that this is a particularly something that we want in our country. Our guests shouldn't criticize our politicians, blah, blah, blah. It would be fundamentally illiberal and against their First Amendment protected speech to revoke their visa because of that. So when they revoked or tried to revoke her visa because she spoke out against Israel, and it wasn't anti-Semitic to speak out against Israel, right?
Okay. So this is from White and Associates. Do you want me to share it? Share the screen with you, or
Can you share the screen over here? Like, it'd be good to see
let's
for
see
my
if
audience
if
too.
it.
Oh man, I
How,
cannot. Oh, you're gonna have to zoom in, man, because I can't hear you.
okay, how's that?
Okay, that's better. Yes.
Okay, so like I said, this is from White and Associates. So visa refusal or revocation. Sorry. So anti-American or other political speech under Trump. Students, activists, lawyers, scientists, researchers, and anyone using social media could be targeted for their online posts expressing what the Trump administration is to be deem, sorry, anti-American, anti-Semitic, pro-Palestinian, or anti-Israel sentiments or views hostile to the United States government, institutions, or citizens are grounds for revoking visas. The government is scrutinizing social media memberships in professional associations, societies, and organizations, professional and personal friendships and affiliations, speech, publications, and articles, and professional experience. According to the Department of State, these individuals are engaging in activity inconsistent with their status or could compromise a compelling foreign policy interest of the United States under Section 1 or 212A3C.
Yes. And so when I say that the Trump administration is violating the Constitution, that is exactly what I mean. Under Trump, this is their argument that they're making, but it's losing in court. The Supreme Court disagrees with them. Lower courts disagree with them on this. They absolutely are doing that. They're targeting people for their protected speech, but that is an example of them being illiberal, that they are breaking the Constitution. What they are doing is illegal.
So Biden did the same thing.
Biden did not do that same thing. Who did he detain and deport because of their
So
political
let's
speech?
see. Like I said, this is just
Take
AI
your
at
time.
the moment, so I just want to. U.S. strips visa from 6 foreigners over Charlie Kirk. Okay,
That wasn't under
no,
Biden.
that wasn't under Biden. Trump administration catch and revoke program takes off State Department. Oh boy, they're using AI for this shit. Oh
Yes.
no.
It's really
Oh,
bad.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Did you see that stuff that came out of the UK where they like banned a soccer team because they used AI to like what were the crimes that happened
Yes,
in this
that's
place?
very
Like
illiberal and very bad. I don't want to live in the UK in part because of laws like that. And I see one of the criticisms I have, and one of the reasons I oppose the Trump administration is because they're making our country more like the UK, and I don't want that.
how do you see that they're becoming more like the UK?
So, for example, because recently the Washington Post reported on this, there was a gentleman who wrote a letter to a judge because they were considering amnesty for or not amnesty, I'm sorry, asylum. There was an asylum seeker who was seeking asylum in the United States. A gentleman saw that this was happening and wrote a letter to the judge asking for mercy on this asylum seeker. 5 hours after he wrote that letter, DHS sent FBI agents to his house to investigate him. They subpoenaed his Google email records to go through them and look for subversive activities. This is just like in the UK when you make a meme or a tweet that the regime doesn't like, and then they send the police to your house. It's
So,
one for one what
so
they're
were
doing
you
and what is
were you
happening.
outraged when the Biden administration was working with Twitter, Facebook, etc., to censor
I
American
oppose
speech
that
online?
too, but these are not the same. Again, in one case, censorship, which I am against. I'm a First Amendment guy, as you can tell, right? That's bad. He shouldn't have done that, right? But it's not the same as subpoenaing you to gather your
You'd
personal
say that's
emails
worse?
and sending FBI agents to your house.
You'd say that's worse?
Sending FBI, yes, sending FBI agents to your house because you made an email that the administration didn't like is
Okay.
worse than someone banning you from Twitter because you made a tweet.
I would say banning someone from Twitter by at the behest of the federal government is way worse than someone saying coming to you and saying, "Hey, either yank that shit down or we got problems," especially if you're under some type of claim. Now, is it a US citizen that made the initial claim?
Yes,
Okay.
this was a U.S.
So,
citizen.
okay, so then sue your government, get your fat paycheck, and we all live happily ever after, set more precedents. Um, but I think it's way more insidious that at for platforms like Facebook, like Twitter, YouTube, et cetera, that we're doing it behind the scenes. I
Okay,
think that's way more because you're actually shaping narratives. And I think that's way more dangerous than that.
so to be clear, Trump was doing that as well. Okay, when he had power during 2020, during 2019, 2018, he was doing it as well. The Biden continued to do that, which we should not have done, right? I agree
Mhm.
with you there, but this is a fundamentally different thing than sending police to someone's house because
Oh, I
they
can agree.
made
It's
a
fuck.
statement online.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's absolutely abhorrent. I'm not like a free speech absolutist. I think there's
I mean,
definitely
you're
speech that
Canadian,
we.
so fair enough, right? But
Well, no, in fact, I would probably push it a lot further. Like I said, where Canada is, and I know, Americans are like, what's Canada? All we know is that it's a hat and it's cold, and you guys like live in igloos or some shit and drink maple syrup. Um, Only half of those are actually true. But because so we have a lot of laws that are actually being ran through right now where how in Germany you can't deny the Holocaust. Well, we're doing a similar thing with denying the Holocaust with the residential school
oh
system
yeah,
that
I
took
oppose
place.
those laws.
So,
I oppose
yeah,
speech laws, hate speech laws, all those things. I am
y-
against that.
yeah, and it's absolutely terrifying seeing this type of stuff and seeing the people that cheer for it. But so yeah, that's if
Yeah,
you
but
want to see where you guys are going.
that's a fundamental. And Trump is taking us there, right? That is, I would agree with you, where we are heading, and Trump is taking us there. And I'm trying to stop Trump from taking us there. I don't want people to send FBI agents to my house because I have criticized the Trump administration or spoken out against ICE. Again, recently there's a report where DHS has demanded the personal details as well as access and subpoenaed all their records for people who have been critical of ICE or the administration online. It was done by the report, let me see, was done by TechCrunch. And again, it says in several cases over recent months, Homeland Security has relied on the use of administration subpoenas to seek identifiable information about individuals who run anonymous Instagram accounts. These subpoenas have also been used to demand information about people who have criticized Trump officials or protested government policies. And these aren't judicial subpoenas, which are approved by a judge, they're administrative subpoenas. And they're being used to try to collect this. So they're not even going through the courts on this. They're just issuing a warrant to themselves to gather this information and demanding that the tech companies comply. This is happening now. This is something that I am posing now. It's just not good.
Okay. All right. No, I can agree in those instances, if this stuff is taking place, and like I said, if Canada is, is 8-10 years ahead of you guys, and this is where the Democrats are looking at taking this, because remember
Hold
they
on.
had
Whoa,
that
whoa,
whole.
whoa, 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 whoa. Where the Democrats are looking at taking this, no, Trump is not a Democrat.
Oh, he's a New York Democrat.
No, he is not. Come on.
You don't think he's a Republican? Man, I'm not even a Republican, and I think that. I
He is.
definitely
What do
think
you mean? He is he's MAGA. He's not anything else but MAGA. I wouldn't even consider him like he's running under the Republican ticket. But if you consider him as conservative, I don't know what your definition of conservative is because he's not. Uh,
well, I would
Trump
say a
is for
conservative is
Trump.
just
He's an
someone that.
opportunist, if anything else. That's all
Well,
he is.
I would say a conservative, someone that's just trying to conserve someone's
Okay,
either
what is Trump
nation,
trying to
culture.
conserve?
Well, obviously, it looks like he's trying to conserve the America that once was, or at least trying to get back to that type of America. Seems like with a lot of the money investments that's been going into the United States, like hell, Canada is definitely hurting with regards to these, these policies that have been pushed forward, where businesses are folding up here and going to the United States en masse.
Hold
So
on, are you talking about tariffs?
well, there's the tariffs, there's all the business incentives that's been going on with regards to, business policy, the tariffs, yes. So there's a lot, and
Hold on. Do you know manufacturing is down under Trump, correct? Like
well, is
manufacturing jobs have been fleeing this country, right? Investments have been fleeing this country. People are paying more for imported goods than they have under Biden, right? That
right.
this is a
Well,
continuously growing problem, and I would argue that it's directly related to Trump's economic policies. Now, we can have a debate on economic policies, but I didn't come here for that, right? But I would argue that Trump's economic policies have damaged U.S. Standing in the world, as well as made things more expensive and damaged investments. But again, I'm not here with sources on that, so I can't really
yeah,
push you
no,
too
no,
far, right?
that's fine. That's fine. Okay. So I yeah, maybe we should kind of get back to
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
immigration. So yeah, um so I guess so I want to make sure that I'm clear. So
Sure,
your position is, I'll try and steel man it as much as I can.
go for it.
You have no problem with the illegal aliens going bye-bye, correct?
Yeah,
They
not
go back
normally.
they go back home.
As long as they get the proper process and as long as it's done in a constitutional manner, that's fair. We can have a discussion on immigration in general. I think that we should have an easier path to immigration for people. And I think things like the Dream Act are fine, where people who came into the country when they were like 3 years old, right, illegally, I think it's okay to maybe give them a path. But in general, I don't have a problem with deporting illegal immigrants, especially violent illegal immigrants. I think that's a good thing, actually,
Okay.
to get rid of those.
Okay. So I guess this will actually kind of get a little bit closer to the kind of my original statement, or at least accusation.
Okay.
So I obviously I can only speak with regards to, Canada immigration policy, what I see here, and where I think the folly is, because the United States is either you guys just, as the expression goes, when the United States catches or sneezes, the world catches a cold, because you guys are so, you dominate the fucking world on anything and everything. You kind of don't really see the pitfalls. It's kind of like a normalcy bias. It can never happen here. But
Okay. What's your point, man?
yeah, so I think with immigration, so where you guys make it illegal, we just rubber stamp it. We let in 500,000 people a year, regardless of whether they actually contribute. In fact, we've had a massive influx, and enclaves with regards to multiculturalism have expanded the breakdown within the cultural hegemony within Canada. And I think the United States is at a very real problem of we should let more people in because more people equal good.
So I don't know um Canada's issues, and it's very possible that you guys have a different situation than we do. So I can't speak so much to Canada's immigration laws or
Right,
policies. I just don't know. I'm sorry. But I
right.
can't speak to
I can
well,
give you just a quick little,
well,
if you don't mind.
I guess if you must, but I'm not here to argue
So
Canada's policies. I'm here to argue America's
right,
policies.
because I think in the United States, you guys actually have a cultural war between multiculturalism and the melting pot of the United States.
Hold on,
So in
what
Canada,
would you consider to be multiculturalism, and how is that at war with the melting pot idea?
yeah, so multiculturalism is people that bring their culture, customs from other nations, and they end up creating many places within Canada. So we now have a concern of Calistanis who are actively seeking to separate from Canada because they didn't actually want to be part of Canada. They don't see themselves as Canadian. They see themselves as Calistani who actively seek to rip Canada apart. So we
Okay.
have many, many communities that say our prime minister just a couple months ago said that Muslim values are Canadian values. So we now need to take their culture, their customs and practices, and that actually becomes a part of the Canadian identity, like distinct but separate.
Well, I have
So,
some Canadians in my chat. Canadians, is that an accurate representation of what's going on in there? I can't speak to that, but
right.
what I mean, like, let me just ask you, what do you consider to be multiculturalism? Can we just kind of get on the same page with? Because I know what I mean when I say that, but I
Yeah.
don't know if what I mean when I say that is the same as what you mean when you say that. So can you just kind of tell me what you think of multiculturalism and what that
Yeah.
is?
So I would look at it maybe in a bit of no, I won't use an analogy. It's just different cultures and customs all being equal in terms of representation in a country. And that comes with their politics, all their tribal or their all their cultural practices, comes with everything, the good and the bad.
Why is it bad that cultural practices are protected under the law, whether it be from um,
Because we don't want
Pakistani
female
cultural
genital
practices
yeah, we don't want
versus?
female genital mutilation becoming the norm within our
Okay,
country.
sure. Well, obviously, if murder is part of your culture, we're going to ban that too. We're not talking about that kind of stuff. But I'm thinking, like, for example, um, should Muslims have the same religious protections as Christians under the law?
Maybe a biased view. I would say no because I think Islam is incompatible with Western culture.
Okay, what protections do Christians have that you don't think that Muslims should have in a religious sense?
What? Sorry, ask that question
Sure.
again.
You so if I understood you correctly, you don't think that Christian religious practices, or I'm sorry, that you don't think that Muslim religious practices should be protected under the law in the same
Mhm.
way that Christian religious practices are. Is that a
Right.
correct
Yeah.
statement?
And I and
Okay,
I
so
and
how?
yeah.
Walk me through that. What religious practices that that Christians engage in that are protected should not be protected if Muslims do that?
So I have no concern of someone who just goes to a place and wants to worship. I have no problem with that. Obviously, I have a bias because I am a cultural Christian. The issues that I see is once you start accepting honor killings as a cultural
Okay,
practice,
that isn't protected. That isn't, first of all, I don't know much about Islam, but I don't think honor killings is part of Islam. And even if it was, like, for
it
example,
happens
stoning
here.
people to death might be argued to be Christian, but we don't allow
It is
that.
Christian. Exactly. Yeah, we don't want that either.
So
But
again, right, we
we've
have
had those
exceptions
instances
perhaps
happen.
to practicing your religion when it harms other people, but that exists
Mhm.
for Christians, Muslims, Jews, all of them, right?
Right.
So again, I'm
So
asking what fundamentally would be different in your mind, in your ideal world, that would Christians would get protection for doing this thing, but Muslims would not.
what practice would Christians have that
because
Hmm.
you my and let me stop hiding the ball with the questions here. I think it's the idea that when you decide which religion gets special protections by the state that are not granted to other religions, that is a fundamentally illiberal practice, and it's going to lead to your religion when the other side gets power. Those same tools that you used to oppress Muslims are going to be used to oppress Christians. And I think that it is a fundamentally illiberal thing to want to only protect your side, so to speak, and have very less protections for the other side. So I'm just trying to
Well,
understand, like, why are you advocating for this?
so okay, so the reason why this is a little bit of a hard concept to kind of wrap my brain around is because in Canada we actually push Muslim values whole hog, cultural and everything else. In fact, it's the Muslims who are attacking churches. And again, like I'm not a Christian. I'm at best a cultural Christian. I have the traditions
What
and
is a
still
cultural Christian?
just the culture and everything that I was growing up with Thanksgiving, with Easter, that type of stuff. The traditions that we've all more or less grew up with. So that's why I would say a cultural Christian. So my morals and beliefs
So
are
just
still
like
rooted in a
Christmas and
Christian.
stuff?
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. So like, not it's not like,
Yeah,
oh
I'm
well,
repeating it just
we
to
got a
make sure I
holidays.
heard it right, right? Like,
Yeah.
so just
So
Christmas and that's
our
cultural Christians? And okay, what
well,
about
that's
it?
what well. So I'm saying that and my moral and I think my ethics are still rooted in a Christian framework. So that's where I would be. I
I
want to
don't.
keep that type of
Okay,
practice intact. Or
this might be another debate, so I won't get in too much. But I don't think that, from what I've heard, at least in this discussion so far, that your morals and ethics are rooted in a Christian framework. But I could
okay,
be wrong. We'd have to explore it more. But it just sounds like a very unchristian kind of framework to me. But that's fair. We could debate that another time.
we can only
Um,
hope one day that all religion is gone.
I mean, hey, if that's your stance, that's your stance. But if you want to just oppress religion in general, you can have that stance. I would disagree with you. I want religious people to have religious protections under the law, but that's fair.
So do you think that the government should step in with a religion that's, let's say if a woman has sex out of wedlock, that she should be killed in order to restore her family's honor?
Yes, because it that's breaking murder laws, and I think that as long as your religion doesn't harm people directly in violent ways, I think all religions should be constrained by the government from exercising their will on other people in that manner. But that just
So
doesn't just apply to honor killings. That would apply to Christians who want to stone someone to death for speaking up in church, right? That
right.
when they shouldn't, right? It would apply to Christians and Muslims and Jews, all of them equally.
So I kind of have a bit of a line of question. What do you
Go ahead.
think the government makes up? Like, what do you think the makeup of a government is?
What is it, or what should it be?
No, what is the government makeup? Like, what makes up a government?
Okay, at least in democracies and Western democracies, it's, at least in America, is what I'm most familiar with. It's three separate but equal branches: the judicial, the executive, and the legislative. And the legislative branch is made up of representatives elected by the people from various
So I think right
counties,
there.
localities, etc.
Yeah, I think right there. The government is made up of people, right?
Kind
So,
of, yes.
well, I think literally, like our institutions aren't like something that operate without people.
Hold
People in
on,
those
but our
institutions for
institutions
function.
have rules and regulations that are bigger than any one single person or even group of people within that system, right?
I don't know if I would agree with that because an institution. So we, I can speak directly to this. So in Canada, we had a prime minister who was steeped in corruption, steeped, had many ethic violations, but because there was no enforcement mechanism in order to actually enforce those violations, they just continued happening. So I would say an enforcement type of mechanism is significantly more important. It's like your institution is only worth what the enforcement mechanism that's behind it. The bigger point I wanted to make was, so if government is a culmination of the people and our laws, let's say, are derived from the people, I think that
For
would
the
be a fair
consent of the
assessment.
governed, I believe is the term you want. Yes, we
Right.
have a system of laws that rely on the consent of the governed. So we consent to the government being able to make certain laws that restrict us. And in return, at least in America, we have a
Mhm.
constitution which restricts what the government can do to us. It's called the Bill of
Right.
Rights.
Right. So if people become a big enough voting force in order to change those laws, well, then the whole idea of limiting, let's say, religious practice, what if that becomes the practice within, let's say, with the United States?
I would
That
consider
the
that a liberal and I would oppose it. We have a mechanism to change amendments or to change the Constitution,
Mhm.
but there's a very high bar where you need basically a supermajority in order to do that. You have to get a constitutional Congress together where I think
It's more than half your
70% of the
states, right?
states or something, I don't know the exact numbers for you, get together to change or amend the Constitution of the United States. And the reason we have such a high bar is because we recognize that times can change and people can want different things. And if enough people of the country want to change a thing, we should allow them to do so. But I don't think that just because the mechanism exists to change the Constitution doesn't mean that I think all changes to the Constitution would be good. Like for example, if enough people got together and they wanted to amend the Constitution to make slavery legal again, I would
Mhm.
oppose that. And if they did that, I would consider America to have fallen in a very real way, right? It's
Mhm.
violated its fundamental principles of its founding and things like that.
Right.
If it got rid of the First Amendment, same thing, right? Like there's some very core concepts that I think are outlined in the Declaration of Independence that if we, and also the Federalist Papers and a few other things, right? That if we changed, while technically legal to do, I would still be vehemently opposed against that. Not all governments are good.
Right. No, and I agree, and I think that's where that discussion. So, the reason why I asked this, so like with regards to, I have no problem with people from other customs or cultures coming here. No problem. Love it. I love some good East Indian food. I love some good Chinese food as long as it's Americanized. Otherwise, that like weird goofy shit kind of sucks dick. But so I have no problem of people that want to come here and say, "Hey, I want to be part of Canada or part of the United States." No problem. Love it. I have a big problem when there's a contingent of people who specifically say, "I am not American, I am not Canadian, and I do not want to assimilate. In fact, I'm here to assimilate you." I think we have a very big problem when we start letting people that expressly view those or take those types of views.
So one of the great things about the American um, immigration system is when you become an American citizen, you take an oath of naturalization or a pledge of allegiance, basically,
Mhm.
to the United States Constitution and to the concepts that make up our nation. Um, America has generally done a very good job at assimilating and integrating different cultures. Look at the Italians when they came over
Mhm.
en masse. Look at all the people who've immigrated from all over the world during the 1960s. Right, we've done a very good job at um, assimilating them into our culture. I think that's a very good thing, and it's a strength of the American system. If the Canadian system sucks, so be it. I can't help you there. But I think when
We
when
could,
we
but
look
choose
at
not to.
America, I don't see any major separatist movements. Most people who are immigrating to America, even the illegal immigrants, want to become American citizens. And one of our cultural practices that we've had is multiculturalism. We've had Little Italy, Little China, right? These enclaves have existed for hundreds of years in some cases. And this is just part of our cultural heritage. And in a real way, America is one of the best countries in the world at assimilating people. So while you might have that problem in Canada, we do not have that problem here. And in fact, the greater threat, I would say, to American exceptionalism, to the American project as I understand it, and to the Constitution is MAGA. It
How
is.
how so?
Uh, we can go over it again, but MAGA, as a rule, is violating the Constitution when it comes to
Okay, okay,
immigration, to the
with
Fourth
regards to
Amendment.
that.
They are
Okay.
ignoring people's First Amendment rights. This is something that they are doing at a scale and to a severity that is just not seen in other administrations. And also, they're flaunting it as they're doing. They're lying to the American people, and then they're saying, "So what? You can't do anything to us. You can't stop us." And yeah, I think
Okay.
that if it is allowed to succeed, would destroy America as a nation in a way that any amount of illegal immigrants, at least in America's case, would not.
Right. So okay, so with that kind of being said, and obviously, like I said, I can only speak more or less because I live in Canada, and talking about multiculturalism. And so I think because in Canada we have such a it's one thing like, the Italians that came in a wave, the Ukrainians that came and yada yada yada, so on and so forth. I have no problem with people that want to come here, say, they change their name because they want to be seen as American or as Canadian. I have a very different instance where we are now
Hold on,
the
why would them changing their name have anything like? Why would that matter?
no,
Like,
but
say
I'm saying
someone from say we got some guy from Haiti, okay,
hmm?
and he wants to keep his ancestral name.
No, but what
Does
I'm
that
saying is that
suggest
the
anything to you about whether or not he wants to assimilate?
no, I'm just using that as an example that someone says that
Okay,
I want to Americanize it. I want to be American. I'm doing everything I can to be American. That's very different than when someone says I am not American. I don't want to be American, and I'm going to do everything in my power to actually change America what it fundamentally is and was, and instill my values within it.
okay. I
So I
don't
think
think that it's
that's a
happening
very
at any kind of scale in America. In fact, the opposite. I see most immigrants I talk to, and not that I talk to too many, but most immigrants that I've spoken with, and most immigrants that I know want America to succeed and be better because they want
I
to invest
I
in it,
agree.
right?
I agree.
So
So we
what's
actually
the
have a
problem here then?
Well, we have a unique problem where we actually have like older East Indians that come to Canada, and they say the new ones that are here aren't here to be a part of Canada. They're here to change it. There was a referendum out of Surrey, BC. There was also one out of Brampton, Ontario, where they said that we want to separate from Canada. So I think that's a very big difference. So I
How many
say that
people
this
are
is
doing that in Canada? So you keep mentioning this separatist movement.
mhm.
How big is it? I just don't know. I'm generally curious.
Well, these are just two cities. Two cities are
So
saying that we want to separate.
like everyone in the city, how big are these cities?
Surrey maybe has a population of 600,000 or so,
Okay.
just off the dome piece. But when they're saying specifically, we are going to take this city. So think of like, Dearborn, Michigan, the problem that you guys are kind of having there. And Dearborn saying, we want to leave the United States. We are no longer part
No,
of the United
Dearborn
States.
doesn't want to leave the United States.
No, but I'm saying as an example. So there's a very heavy Muslim concentration, but if eventually it came to the point where they said, we are not American, we don't want to be American. In fact, we want to leave America.
Okay, but that's not
So
again. I can't speak to Canada, and if that's happening in Canada, then I mean, look, in America, when states tried to secede from the Union, we had a little bit of a spat, and I think it'd be
yeah,
well
just a
within
little.
Canada's right to stop them from leaving the Union. You guys can handle your shit though, however you like, but at least this idea. And this is another problem I'm having with this conversation is you keep
Mhm.
equating these things and then bringing up Dearborn, like places like Dearborn, Michigan, and kind of implying that they're the same. And I don't think they're the same at all. Dearborn, Michigan, the only reason that we're having problems there is because a lot of Republicans are scared that there's Muslims in a town. I don't think that the people of Dearborn, Michigan are doing anything that is, at least not that to my knowledge, that is fundamentally anti-American in nature. In fact, they're pretty conservative, from what I know, right? At least politically. They don't like LGBTQ stuff, right, and things like that. But they've abided by the laws of the country. Well, I guess let me ask you this: do you not
Mhm.
think that localities should be able to at least somewhat self-determine what their laws are for their specific communities?
So should locales be
Yeah,
able
like a
to
city. If a city or town said, you know what, in our town, we want to make sure that no one can buy alcohol on Sundays because we're very religious and it's the Lord's Day, and we want to make a law to restrict people's freedoms in that manner if they live in the bounds of our town. Do you think that that's
I I
okay?
don't inherently have a problem with that. Can that obviously go too far? I think you'd be naive to think that something as a what was a religious practice that was enshrined at one point now be just kind of falls away in and becomes something else. I don't inherently have a problem with that. I have the problem when if let's say all Michigan just wants to, you know what, we're no longer America and we're gonna do something in
Sure.
order to
No, I
remove
agree
ourselves
with you.
from it.
If this
So
Michigan or Dearborn even tried to secede from the Union, I'd be against that, and I would be for us forcing to do that. Can I ask you a little bit about because my
mhm.
chat's telling me this, and maybe you know. Do you know about the Alberta separatists?
Oh yeah, that's gaining a lot of traction.
Okay, do you have a
Yep, I'm familiar.
problem with them trying to separate from Canada?
Um, are they separating from Canada? I guess the better question that I have is, are they trying to preserve Canada?
Whoa, hold on. So one of the things that you were criticizing Surrey for was they were trying to be secede in your words, and I'll just
Mhm.
grant you that this is true. I don't know Surrey's situation, but you were like, look at all these immigrants coming in. They're trying to secede from Canada. This is a problem. We need to stop it. But then when I asked
Yeah,
you about the Alberta separatists, you're like, well, actually, they're just trying to preserve what Canada really means when they're trying to
right.
secede from Canada. Do
Yeah,
you
and
understand
I
how
think
these
those
things are a little
no,
bit
no, that I no, they're
contradictory?
no, I would if it was if I came to your house and told you how you need to live and everything else, you'd probably like, no, you can go somewhere else and do that. I think it'd be very different if you went, you know what, I want to renovate this house, tear it down, and build something anew. Okay, well, whatever you want to do in your own house. I think that the situation becomes different because with regards, and I know you're not familiar with this,
Yeah, and also
but
my Canadians in my chat are saying that you're lying, that Surrey isn't trying to separate.
they held a referendum. I encouraged you guys go look it up. It was in Surrey. There was a Calistani referendum to separate Surrey from the rest of Canada. They held two, in fact.
Give me a link, gang. Okay, because I don't know who's lying to me here, but one of you
Yeah.
is. Okay, I want to find
See,
out.
Surrey
You can bring it up
referendum.
on your screen if you like, if you find one.
Yeah.
But even if that's true, again, I don't. Oh, the vote was for separation in India, is what I'm being told.
So tens of thousands of Sikhs turned out in Surrey, BC on Sunday, organizers and observers said, for another chance to vote in an unofficial referendum on creation of an independent Sikh state. It was a second round of referendum in British Columbia after US backed organization Sikhs for Justice said the first ballot on September 10th was so popular that the voting could be completed in another day. Sunday's vote on Khalistan, an independent state in India's Punjab region, proposed by some Sikhs, took place at the same Gurdwara, I don't know, where activist Hardeep Singh Niger was shot dead in June. Oh, I remember that story. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau claimed on September 18th that there were credible allegations linked to India's government in Niger's killing. Okay, maybe I am mistaken on that one. Okay, I have no problem walking that back then.
Fair enough.
Okay,
But you
okay, I will
understand
walk
how
that back.
like okay, I don't mean to beat you up or anything because I think you're being good faith with me at least, or trying to, or at least we're having a good conversation. Um, you mischaracterized my position when you said I was pro-slavery, right? I think that you were ignorant of DHS and the lies that they have told to the American people, and you mischaracterized this separatist movement as trying to separate from Canada. I guess at this point, I just want to ask you, like, does getting so many things wrong cause you maybe to wonder what else that you've been mistaken on, and you probably should kind of, I don't know, reassess?
I have no problem admitting when I was wrong, as I clearly
Sure.
just did. So I have no problem in reassessing positions that I may have held.
Okay.
So that's it. That's
Well, I don't know, man. Like maybe your views on immigration are being colored by information that just isn't true.
being colored by information. No, well, of course, I think that the
Well,
any
if you,
anything
yeah,
can.
if one of the big reasons and the arguments you gave me is you were against immigration because people were coming in and trying to make separatist movements from your country, and it turns out that that wasn't happening, I think maybe that should really kind of change things, shouldn't it?
No, I don't have a problem when in like I said, in admitting that, okay, what I was understood with regards to that, and maybe I'm just grabbing wrong information, which is fine. I have no problem being wrong.
Yeah.
And I have
No,
no
no, 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 no,
problem
no, no,
with
no, 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 no. I
but I
understand that, and I
no, and
appreciate
I
that. I
was
do, I do.
gonna I
But
was gonna add.
just to kind of get my point across, maybe more coherently. Maybe I'm the one miscommunicating. It's very possible. Um, do you think that the sources that you are getting this information from that happen to be wrong consistently might be something you'll change? Maybe you are being spoon fed things, misinformation, that is coloring your opinion on the world, that you should probably change your information diet. Can we at least
Um,
agree to
I
that?
I tried to grab as much information from many different sources as much as possible. So a lot of our information, like I said, comes directly from the government down. So,
Okay, yeah, but when someone is consistently giving me wrong information, I stop listening to them. I cut them off because, hey, the last 10 things you told me, 8 of them have been wrong. You are no longer a trusted source of information. And this is my argument against DHS, to be clear, right? Is one of
okay.
the reasons that I cannot trust them anymore under Trump is because they consistently lie and get things wrong. Not just about the Renee Good shooting, but about the Alex Preddy shooting, but about all their court cases, hundreds of court cases, which they're losing, right? Um, doesn't they have like a conviction rate in uh Chicago of 0% currently? Do you know how crazy it has to be to have a conviction rate in America in a certain city of 0%?
And that's for what specifically?
So during
Or
Metropolis Blitz, when the Trump administration did the same thing that they did in Minneapolis and sent a bunch of agents in to to Chicago, they picked up a bunch of people for non-immigrant related crimes. And so what that means is like obstruction. In one case, they charged someone with attempted murder of their agents, or conspiracy to murder one of their agents, Bovino or whoever, right? They
Mhm.
had 32 court cases on this. Not all of them have finished going through, but of the 16 that have gone through and finished, their conviction rate is 0. None of them have resulted in a conviction. Most of them got tossed out. Some got the jury made a not guilty verdict, but that's a crazy stat in the American system to have a
Right.
like where the federal average in general is like 92% conviction rates because
So
again,
are you talking oh, sorry, go ahead, go
yeah,
ahead.
generally, right? The federal government doesn't bring suit or doesn't press charges unless they're pretty sure they can get a conviction because they like those high numbers, right? Um, in the case of DHS, right, in Chicago specifically, it was 0. Like
Okay.
that's and so again, if someone has this amount of is wrong so often, is wrong to this degree, I just cut them off. They're like, these guys are lying to me.
Right. So I guess with protests, and I think we know, you basically get a slap on the wrist. It's like, yeah, you do your civil disobedience, you get your slap on the wrist, and then you get your stripes that you were a bad boy for one day, and then you kind of carry on, right? Like that's how a lot of these protest cases end up going.
Yeah, but
They just give you a slap on the wrist, and then you carry on your merry way.
yeah, but they don't result in charges being pressed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but in
So
these cases that I'm citing, charges are being pressed.
So the charges they're actually seeking criminal convictions,
Yes.
and then nothing's happening.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Because not it's not nothing is happening, let's be clear. It's their cases when they go to court, it turns out their evidence is either non-existent or they are provably lying. In the case of the woman who got shot, which I cited earlier, they had to drop that case because it was proven that the government was lying. Lying about what happened in the body cam footage that they won't show to the public, but they were forced to release in the court, right? Because you have different rules for these things. Showed that the government's narrative, DHS narrative, was
Mhm.
not true. And so she got the charges got dropped. She was released. She's a free woman now. Like this is just constantly happening. So it's not nothing happening. It's the government is losing their cases because they can't provide evidence or are lying about that evidence. And I think that the fact that they're doing that should concern everyone because the government shouldn't be able to just lie consistently and nothing happen to them. I think that's bad. It sets bad precedent. And the fact that they are trying to do this and knowing that they can get away with it, to be clear, and nothing will happen to their agents. That man who shot the Border Patrol agent who shot that woman 5 times, then tweeted about or made a text about it saying, 5 bullets, 7 holes, put that one
Mhm.
in your book, boys. He's still working on at Border Patrol. He wasn't disciplined at all.
Yep. No, and we felt we had similar situations within Canada with regards to the Freedom Convoy that some people were able to get inside their what was it? I can't remember if it was Signal or whatever, WhatsApp or whatever it was, their hidden chat where they were cheering and championing about assaulting people who were literally like peaceful protesting. So I can sympathize that okay, in a situation. Now I don't know the particulars of this this one case, but we have seen with Renee Good. Did she intend to run that cop over? No,
Yeah,
I
but the
don't think
DHS
so.
said she
But
did.
well, I think
And
yeah,
if there
trying to
wasn't,
prove
hold on,
intent is
if there
like good
wasn't
fucking luck,
footage of that event, that's what a lot of people would have believed, that she tried to run him over.
right? No, and I agree with you. And I think because we got to see that, we actually seen, oh, now did she mean to? And I think that's you can't prove intent. The chick's dead. But you can look at, was there at least reckless disregard for other people's safety? Yeah, I think that argument could definitely be made, and I'd be surprised if an argument even similar to that isn't presented before the court with
Well,
regards to
hold
that
on, they're
with
not
that
even
trial.
they've so I agree with you, right? In that she did things that she shouldn't have done. Like she's at least somewhat to blame for what happened. I won't argue with that. But I put more onus on the state than I do a civilian because agents of the state should be trained to handle these situations. And I think that the agent in question violated his training, and an investigation at least should happen. But the problem is that they're not allowing an investigation to happen. The
Well, they're
FBI
not letting
tried
a
to bring a
third
warrant
party,
to
right?
investigate, and the DHS and Trump shut them down. They won't let an investigation go forward in the Renee Good case.
Is it because, as I said, even like with the Derek Chauvin, George Floyd, because it was such a politicized type of scenario that this guy ain't going to get a fair trial anywhere?
Of course, she can get a fair trial. And just because something's politically volatile doesn't mean we don't try to hold people accountable when they
No.
violate right things. An investigation at least should happen, but it's not being allowed to happen. We're not even talking going to court here. We're talking an investigation of what happened. They aren't holding one. Several Minnesota prosecutors and several Washington, D.C. prosecutors have resigned over the handling of this case and how they're not allowing an investigation to go forward.
Okay. Okay. I don't know what's going on in the backgrounds with regards to all that
I
stuff. So it's
know. I know you don't know what's going on. I understand this is a problem, and I'm trying really hard because I think you're a good guy, like in general, right? But it bothers me the level of misinformation that's going out here and the narratives that are being built based on lies. And I think that you
well,
not
no,
knowing these things is kind of par for the course
no.
on
I'm
how
saying
MAGA
with
looks at
regards
these
to
things.
with regards to like the Renee Good, like I'm more waiting for, okay, is a criminal trial going to take place? Well, okay, are they letting third parties in? As far as I understand, FBI or DHS is saying, no way are we letting third parties do this. So, okay, fine, I guess.
Why shouldn't
But
a third party investigate?
I don't have an answer as to why or why not. Is it because maybe it's because Minneapolis is so politically charged that there's concerns about corruption, or are they looking for a political persecution? I don't know. I don't
The
know the motivations
the
as to
problem,
why.
yeah, the problem though with it happening at all is even if an investigation would have turned up that the agent in question um, shouldn't go to trial for whatever reason, if that's what the evidence showed, then fair. But when you don't allow an investigation, what you do is you paint in the minds of the American people that there is a cover up going on, that they're not allowing an investigation, let alone any investigation, let alone an independent investigation. What you are doing is you're creating in the minds of the public this idea that something is being hidden from them. So if we want transparency, which I think we both do, we would like, ideally, a third party, not connected from Minneapolis, not connected to the ICE, right? But just a third independent organization to come in and to investigate. Now, normally, under most administrations, that would be people under the DOJ. But the
Mhm.
problem is that the DOJ, the FBI, etc., are no longer neutral organizations or independent organizations under Trump. Trump has specifically and intentionally politicized them. He's gotten rid of anyone who goes against his ideas, right? Who doesn't toe the line, who isn't willing to kiss the ring. And
Is
it's
that
tainted
normal?
these institutions and organizations so that they are no longer independent bodies, but instead just tools of the regime. And so no one
But
trusts them anymore, nor should
but isn't
they.
that normal? Isn't
No,
that
it is
normal
not normal.
for That's not normal for administrations to
Hold
move
on.
people in, move people out?
No, that's not what I said. I'm saying that DOJ specifically, Trump has directed them to prosecute certain individuals or to seek charges against certain individuals like James Comey, um, the executive orders that we
You
went
know,
through earlier.
I can agree with James Comey. Like the worst they get is this guy's like mortgage was fucked up. Like that's the extent is
Well,
like,
that
oh,
was
he might have
Letitia
like
James, I believe. That was someone else, right?
no,
Because
I
he's
think
done this
Comey was
several times, right?
but I
This
think Comey was the same thing. I think
Biden,
the two
Biden didn't do that. Trump 1 didn't do that. Obama didn't do that. Bush didn't do that. This
they
is
didn't go after
new.
their political their at least adversaries.
No, they didn't direct the DOJ to prosecute specific people or organizations.
Well, but you had said earlier that they investigated Trump. They targeted
Okay.
Trump
But
for
that was the
investigation for
DOJ's
criminality.
decision to do.
Under whose directive?
No one was directed to do this.
They just woke up one day and said, "You know
And
what? I
there's a
don't like
difference
that guy's
between I'm going to
fake
have
tan."
my department look into fraud, which I think is perfectly fine, versus I'm going to have my department prosecute Comey for fraud. There's a difference in these two statements.
But if there's a potential criminal activity that took place with regards to Comey, and like I said, the worst they were able to find that his mortgage papers were messed up. They couldn't go after any of the like Steele dossier or any
But
of
they
the
did
Hillary
bring
Clinton
an
type of stuff.
indictment against him. They did bring an indictment against James Comey. And initially, the person that they had in place that was investigating it was like, you know what? There's not enough evidence to get to go forward with this, so I'm not going to do it. So Trump fired them and appointed someone else in their place that would. That doesn't happen under Biden. That didn't happen under Obama. That didn't happen under Bush. This is new. This is different.
Well, I would definitely agree that this is different, but I don't think the DOJ just goes out and just, well, we're just gonna grab this group of people and yeah, maybe we get something, maybe we don't, or let's go look at mortgage records for the past 10 years to see for criminality.
Hold on.
I very
Hold
much
on. The DOJ, when they're alerted, the when the head of the DOJ or members of the DOJ think that there might be wrongdoing, they're empowered to investigate that, right? They could be tipped off or alerted by many different people, but in general, the executive branch has tried not to make it appear, right, or tried to keep a separation between them and their prosecutions, because it would again be corrupt and look corrupt for the executive branch, for the president, to be directing the DOJ on who to go after and who not to go after. So
but are they not
generally,
the
they have refrained from doing so for a host of good reasons, okay? Because it makes, again, it breaks down people's trust in these institutions when you use it as your own personal prosecution squad, right?
right. So you were just as critical, like I said, when Biden, with help obviously from Barack Obama,
Oh, hold on.
to target him with
Biden
that type of stuff,
Biden
right?
didn't direct the DOJ to target anyone.
I know Barack Obama did.
Hold it. Who did the Barack Obama direct the DOJ to target, to
Who did he
prosecute?
direct? Well, we can look at all the lawsuits that came out from the DOJ trying to impeach him repeatedly with regards to any of
Hold on.
any active.
When was Obama brought up on impeachment charges?
Not Obama, when Trump was
Okay. So did
through
you
the
not just say,
direction
maybe I misheard, but didn't you just say that Obama was doing the same thing where he was directing the DOJ to go after certain people?
through Biden.
What? When did Biden direct the DOJ to go after someone?
The number of times of impeachment, all the frivolous lawsuits, all that type of stuff
Okay,
that was
that was
going on.
not brought up by Biden. That was brought up by the Congress. The legislature decided to impeach. First of all, the DOJ didn't have anything to do with that, right? But the impeachment proceedings specifically were a political thing where members of Congress got together, they drafted articles of impeachment, and I don't believe that Biden directed them to do that. They decided to do that on their own.
Maybe it's a bit of a standalone complex that it just seems quite unique that all of a sudden these things would come out one after another, seemingly.
What things?
Well, like the stuff that happened in New York, the stuff that happened in Georgia, the two impeachment
Hey,
accusations and all
they
that
didn't
stuff
just
that happened
come
with that.
up,
So
right? The Georgia stuff was specific accusations of the phone call from Obama, or not Obama. Now you're getting me saying Obama. The phone call from Trump to the Fulton County commissioner guy saying,
mhm.
"Just find me 11,000 more votes," right? That's what specifically came up there.
Do you find it interesting now that there's a bunch of information that's coming out with regards to the Dominion voting machines and how they were changing votes?
Okay, first of all, there's no information on that. That's just made up lies.
No. So, did you ever see the documentary Hacking Democracy?
No, I've never seen that documentary,
So
but I'm
they actually
familiar with
talk.
its statements, but I've never
Okay,
watched it.
so how they were like willing, or how it was very easy for them to change votes.
Here's the problem, though,
Like,
right? Is all of these accusations have been investigated, and specifically that one, that they were changing votes. there have been audits on Minnesota, on Georgia, and there was one other state, at least, that they did audits for, where they went in and they looked at the ballots and they counted the ballots by hand, and they compared it to the voting machine's records, right? And what the voting machine said happened. No discrepancies were found.
Right, and but they tossed out a bunch of those things. Like, I know there was a lot
Well,
of
what
tomfoolery
things
that
did they
I
toss
can't
out?
remember off the top of my head, but I know that there was a lot of information that people were curing ballots. People were the likelihood that a Republican vote would get cured was, I can't remember the percentage, that they were being cured compared to, say, like a Democrat vote being cured, that there was a
Okay,
lot of,
that's not a discrepancy from past behaviors, nor is that, again, they went to court for this several times and they were all tossed out because there was just no evidence, right, of
okay.
these things happen. And like the things that these like vague allusions to these accusations, like, well, the Dominion voting thing machines were flipping votes. Well, again,
Well,
they
we'll
didn't
never
audit.
know.
Just let me finish real quick. They didn't audit, proving that that was not true, right? And showing that there was no discrepancy between the what the voting machine said was happening and the physical ballots, what they said was happening, right? And yet this keeps being brought up over and over again, right? This keeps being brought up like, well, didn't you hear? Wasn't there a documentary that said this thing? Like, it's frustrating for me because yes, there's a documentary that makes a claim, but that claim has been disproven.
No, they're not talking about necessarily like that election. They're just saying that because these voting machines can be tampered with, it opens themselves up to manipulation and how easily that these things can be done.
Okay, again, they've looked into these things. The Trump's DOJ has looked into the efficacy of voting machines and the security of voting machines, and that just doesn't happen. There are fail safes in place to guard against that happening. And one of those fail safes being, again, audits. And it's not just the voting machines that make the tabulations, but if there's any kind of even a suspicion of malfeasance, they hand count them, right? There's redundancies in place to ensure
So
that these things do not happen.
so would you find it suspect? You know, I remember watching the election in Michigan where they put up like
In
poster
2020, you
board.
mean?
Yeah, when they
Okay.
put up poster board and like limited and actually stopped people
Okay,
from
so you're
being
talking
able.
about something where there was a water pipe that burst or something, or what are we
Yeah,
talking about?
no, that one they put up poster board, and then 3 o'clock in the morning, they were somehow like, even though everyone went home and they continued tabulating without any observers there, you know, the famous like now hockey stick vote out of Michigan.
Okay, so the reason that
So
they put up poster board is because outside parties, not legal observers, were trying to look into the ballots and things, and they want a level of privacy there, right? There's probably pretty good reason that you don't let like just anyone in to watch how these things are being done
no, they were
and to see
standing
these
outside.
things, like
Like they were
especially.
standing outside. Like they weren't like there looking at them. They were outside just looking. So there were people there was a separation, a clear
Okay, but
separation between
legal
the people
observers
who
were
were
still
counting.
in the presence of
Not at
the
3 AM.
ballots.
Not at 3 AM. They had
What are you
gone home.
saying?
Well, does that not, if you're saying that, that, you know, these discrepancies were looked at and accounted for,
Yes.
so 3 o'clock
Well,
in the
there were,
morning when
to be
legal
clear, there
observers
weren't
go home.
discrepancies.
But so when 3 o'clock in the morning, when legal observers are no longer there to check on the ballots, does that not call a lot of type of things into question? So like if
You
the
gotta
ones.
you gotta show me, right, where there weren't legal observers there at 3 a.m. Because if they're
Well,
counting
I
ballots,
I
I
can't
believe there
because there's no
should
cameras
be
now.
legal observers there,
But
even at 3 a.m.
that was the accusations that were coming out, that legal observers, everyone was sent home, and once they were sent home, then at 3 o'clock in the, you can look at the old voting records.
Okay, so
You
if I
watch
could
it,
show
it's
you
kind
that
of
legal
steady and it goes
observers were
"Bloop."
there, will you
I
retract your
will
claim?
concede. I will concede my
Okay.
argument right there.
I will
Yeah.
I will I will get you something. Let
Okay.
me give me 1 second.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that's with regards to at 3 AM when the votes suddenly flipped. They called it the hockey stick.
And you say this happened in Michigan?
I believe it was in Michigan. Yeah.
For legal observers in Michigan, when the 2020 vote count at 3 a.m. occurred. Da, 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 da.
And we're totally off topic, but
We are.
all right, that's all right.
I can look for this, right? Okay, so Trump delivered air things. Yeah, he keep claiming that there were no observers, but it turns out there probably. I'll have to research this more, but I'm almost sure that there were.
Okay.
But
Like I
here's
said,
the
I have
thing:
no.
do you have proof that they
Yeah.
weren't there?
Well, you can't prove a negative. Like if someone wasn't there, you
No,
can't prove that
yeah,
they
you
were there.
can. You can
So
absolutely prove that there was no legal observers at the place.
no, only thing that was caught was there were a bunch of red razor or wagons with supposed camera equipment, so that were loaded with ballots. That was the only thing that people had
Okay,
noted.
I'll tell you what. I can come back another day to kind of
Sure,
debate this
sure,
specifically. I just don't have the
sure.
information, but I'm pretty sure that legal observers were there. I'm pretty sure that all these things have been looked into by the court. And the court has found no malfeasance, no wrongdoing, or no evidence of such. And the claims of, for example, that you've made earlier, one of the reasons I'm doubting your claim here is because you told me earlier that this Surrey city
Mhm.
was trying to secede from Canada, and when we looked into it, that was not the case. And
In
you've
fact,
also said things about
can I
like
correct
other
my
things,
own
like
statement?
it's just like this is
Yeah,
why I
in
can't.
fact, I will correct my statement on that. So they had set up it's a called the Republic of Khalistan. That is what they had set up within Surrey. So seeking further representation.
They were
So
trying to separate from India, though, as we saw.
no, but I'm saying like I just looked it up because I remember hearing that there was a referendum or a call that they wanted to separate. Yeah, so they had set up an office for the Republic of Khalistan within Surrey. So at the Sikh, yeah, Canadian law, yeah, blah blah blah.
Okay, but you
So
understand why I'm going to need more information than
oh
just you vaguely remember a thing that happened.
no, I'm looking at it right now. Republic of Khalistan. So
Okay. Okay, it's
there we
like
go.
8 o'clock, man.
Yeah,
The
no
Republic of
problem.
Khalistan. What do you think that
Oh,
is?
sorry. The Republic of Khalistan? Well, I don't know if the Republic of North Korea is anything to be believed on. It sounds like an
No,
independent
hold on. Do you think that they
type
were
of
trying
place.
to go to an independent state to secede from Canada?
If I would say a Republic of Khalistan, I don't think this is going to be some type of immigration office.
Put it back up, please.
Okay.
Okay, can you like? It's a building with a
Oh,
sign.
yeah. Oh, I can't even hold on.
Can't zoom in.
That, but it just does that.
Okay, is
It
that
just
like
makes it.
a? Is that in Canada?
Yep. Yeah. Khalistan office.
I'm being told it's an advocacy group to have an area of India get independence. That they're basically trying to organize in order to gain advocacy that an area of India get independence.
So area of India. Why
Yeah,
would you
there's
be
an area
advocating
in
for that?
India that they want to secede from India, and they're organizing, and they will call themselves a republic of whatever that was, but it's not in Canada, it's in India.
Right. Well, and we have seen, like I said, take it as you will. You don't have to believe me, but there have been videos that people have said that they do not want to be a part of Canada. They are looking to create a separate country within Canada. So if that, like I said, if that's the position, and I'm just listening to the people who are heading these movements, if that's the position that they are willing to take. Now, is this just a front facing? Hey, are they good intention? They have concerns about back home and yada yada. Hey man, I really don't give a shit. If you guys really care that much about India, by all means. But when we have protesters that are saying similar things, that Canada is for the Khalistanis, yeah, I start to have a
Who's
little more
saying
cause for
that?
concern. These are protesters.
In Canada?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't really planning on talking about this, but I don't have any of this information pulled up.
Okay, I
Let's see.
understand. Well, it's 8 o'clock though, so I gotta go a little bit soon. Do
Yeah,
you have
no
any
problem.
final like argument or thought that you want to give?
Um, you know, my neighbors they're from Venezuela, and they had brought up an interesting point when uh immigrants were coming from Cuba. And they said, be very careful because what happened in Cuba is happening here. That's what they were saying to the Venezuelans. Now, my neighbors that fled from Chavez, Venezuela, are coming here and are saying the same things. What happened in Venezuela is happening here, and you guys better start paying attention because all of a sudden, Canada will not be the country that you once thought it was. And I'm my big concern, especially with the United States, because the United States is very, very important for Canada, for a lot of stability in our region. If the United States does fall, does fall to these types of ideologies and is willing to bring in people who seek out, whether it is American destruction, uh, we in the West are in a lot of trouble.
Okay.
So,
So, if that were the case, then I would have the same concerns that you do. But it turns out that Cubans, especially, right, are that immigrate into the U.S. are very anti-socialism, anti-communism,
mhm.
and are some of the most American people that I've ever met.
Oh, they're based
Right?
as
They're very
fuck.
conservative. Well, let me finish here. Right? Immigrants that come into America, whether they be illegal or legal, tend to really kind of integrate with our culture very, very well. Uh, I don't know what it is specifically about America, but immigrant integration is pretty common, and we don't really have a problem at this point. I think that illegal immigrants who violate the law, right, who are violent, should absolutely be deported. But ICE, DHS, and this administration is breaking the law while they're trying to do these mass deportations. They're taking lawful residents and violating their rights. They're violating the rights of U.S. citizens. And the way that they're going about trying to enforce the law is anti constitutional. And I don't, I'm not okay with government organizations continuously almost all the time lying to the American public, which DHS has done on multiple occasions. So the idea that we are anti ICE does not mean we are pro illegal immigration, at least in this instance. And we have
Okay.
to be able to separate the fact that I can want a goal achieved, but I think that the way that you're going about achieving that goal is horrific, and the cure that you're proposing is worse than the disease, which I do believe in the case of ICE and DHS. Thank you for talking to me. I appreciate you letting me into your home, so to speak, for this conversation. And I'm going to go.
You want to see
And
something
where
sweet
can
though?
people find you if they want to find you?
Ah, you can't see it. Son of a bitch. Yeah, every Monday, Wednesday, 8 o'clock, we are live talking culture, politics, yada yada yada. You can find us we're on Rumble, X, CommyTube. You see us over there. And Saturday is 1 o'clock. We are live doing our thing over there. So
Okay. Have a great day, man.
what about you, Vic? Or Wick, sorry.
Vic. Vic,
Oh,
okay. I don't
sorry,
know
Wick, I'm
who that
sorry.
is, but Wick TV, you can
Sorry.
find me on YouTube at Wick-TV. You can find me on Twitch, Wick TV. I do debates, I do discussions, I do interviews, and yeah, come on over, give me money. I love you all. Bye-bye, okay? Bye. Jesus Christ, gang. Give me a second. I'm not ending the stream. I do want to talk to you all because god damn. Okay. Give me a second. Give me a second. Ooh, boy. Ooh, boy. Oh, thank you for the tier 1 membership. What the fuck over to? I do appreciate you becoming a member. Canadians, answer for your crimes. Okay? What is this? What is this? You're sending. Like, is this representative of your people? Okay. $2 from Testicle Johnson says, "Bring me the head of Christ." Okay. $5 from Paradox Frequency to say, "What does Tyler think about Trump admin meeting with Alberta's separatist movement leaders in secret?" Would have been interesting to ask him. Wish I'd seen this. Thank you for the 5 Wick TV gift memberships. What the fuck over? I really appreciate that. $5 from Josh Vet to say, "Sorry, Wick, I was fed wrong propaganda, and I don't care to fact check my sources." That was painful, gang. That was painful. I felt like I was pulling teeth to get any concessions, right? To get any kind of acknowledgement that, bro, you've been wrong this entire conversation. Like, on every issue, on every point, you have gotten it incorrect. What do I do? At a certain point, it's like, it's really testing my patience. That's all I'm saying. Really testing my patience. Did anyone have any questions? Any thoughts? Any comments? Anything they want to bring up before I let you guys go? Oh, quite a few of you tuned in. It's weird for a Saturday, but I'm glad to see you. We got a few debates coming up next week. On Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have an Iran debate, whether or not the U.S. should intervene and overthrow the Iranian regime. Because we're threatening to do that, by the way. We're sending in assets, military personnel, military equipment to the region. We have instructed Americans to leave the country. Trump keeps playing footsie with the idea of making strikes on Iran. It's impending, okay? Whether or not we'll actually strike it, I'm not sure. But let's debate whether we should or not on Monday, and that should be a good discussion. Tuesday at 8 o'clock, I will be joining Tomfoolery, or he will be hosting the show, and someone else challenged me to the same debate, basically. Is ICE under Trump good for America? And my position is no, it is not. So someone's challenged me to debate. This one's going to be moderated. It's going to be a little more formal. That's going to be hosted by Tomfoolery. So tune in at 8 o'clock Eastern for that. Friday, we have a debate at 8 as well. Should America be a Christian nation? That'll be fun. We got Marlo, we got Nimble, we got Kung Fu Joe, and he's bringing a buddy. And that should be fun. And probably Wednesday or Thursday, one of those days, we'll have a little bit of a call-in show. You guys can call in and yell at me for various things, and relax time. I got a headache now, gang. I got a headache. Oh, you want me to Google the Republic of Khalistan? Let's do that. Let's look. Let's see. Okay, you guys wanna do that real quick? We can. Give me a second. Let me change my setup a little bit. Sorry. Let's Google, because I'm really curious. Republic of Palestine map. Images. Okay, I should let you guys see this. Okay. Seeks for Justice released new map of Khalistan. So yeah, this is what they want to do. Here's Pakistan, here's India, and they want, I guess, these areas. So it has nothing to do with Canada. The guy just lied to me. This is so frustrating. And I didn't know anything about this, to be clear. I was going in like I had never heard of this, right? And him just making shit up. Just making shit up. That's crazy, gang. It's crazy, chat. What do I even do with this? Yeah, it's an organization seeks for justice has released a new map of India showing not just Punjab but Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, and several districts of Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh as part of Khalistan. The Seeks for Justice is a U.S.-based organization that supports the secession of Punjab from India and the creation of Khalistan. I'm assuming it's the same in Canada. Okay. I'm assuming it's the same in Canada. Ugh. Did you like the debate, though? Was it fun? I think I did pretty well. Gotta be real. I can't be that humble. I think we did well on that one. But it's interesting to see what people think and why they think it. And this is what we're dealing with, though, gang. This is the level of misinformation that has seeped into their brains, that's seeped into their souls. They honestly really believe these things because they've heard it repeated over and over and over again, even when it's just demonstrably not true. Like, 10 minutes of Google would dispel a lot of these talking points, would dispel a lot of these lies that they've been told. But because they want to own the libs, right? Because they want to get a power victory, right, over the left, they are willing to just regurgitate talking points that are just not true. Crazy, gang. It's worse than that. How's it worse than that, Paradox Frequency? Not only is he misinformed, but he's totally okay with Alberta leaving Canada. That was crazy too. Like, I thought he was going to be consistent and be like, yeah, I thought the Alberta separatists were bad too. But he's like, actually, those ones have a point. Okay, whatever, bro. Come on, come on. I'm gonna go and get something to eat, right? Maybe a snack or something. And I'll see you guys Monday, okay? Be good or be good at it. I'll talk to you guys later. I love you. Sexually. Bye-bye.